Hi everyone. Um, I decided to make my first Godot tutorial in English. There are plenty of tutorials, obviously, but I really wanted to find something new to do. So here we are. So for everyone is new, maybe with Godot, just to be clear, to download Godot, it's pretty simple. We have main page over here. You just go on your web browser, write down gameengine.org, go on downloads, and download your version. We're gonna use the 4.6.1 right now. At the time of the tutorial is the latest release. We're not gonna use the .NET. It's gonna cover C Sharp. We're not gonna cover C Sharp. Maybe in the future, but not for now. We're gonna use GDScript. Is the proprietary language of Godot. So in order to download, you just click Godot, your download start, and once started, you just open it, and just you have the .exe file. Just copy in a folder, how I did over here already, and double click. We're gonna use this one. This one is the console. We're gonna have a command console with some debug stuff, but we don't really care. So the first time you open Godot, this is the main windows. You're gonna have, if you have project over here, you have your project. We're gonna create a new project right now. So in order to create your project, you have the button over here. If you have some project that you download, or maybe you import from another computer, you just click import, you scan. It's gonna check for the Godot project in a folder, and you have a asset library. Is like people post this on the you can check your site. This is the Godot engine official website, and you can download other people plugins that can be maybe useful. We're not gonna use any of that, but there are plenty of things. Like this is Kenny, very famous for releasing starter pack for people. You can find some maybe Google release. Let's see, play. I don't remember the name of the plugin right now, but there is the Google Play plugin, or you can check DS Mob, no, Point Studio. Well, we're gonna explore this one later. There are plugins that allow you to use Godot with Steam or with Android and Google. We're gonna see this one later. And now let's focus on how to use Godot and the main interface. So this one right now are a lot of my projects. We're gonna have the name, the path. This one is my favorite one. I'm working on a Resident Evil style of game in C Sharp. I had this one because I opened the Godot without the .NET. So they're gonna tell me like that is unsupported. Same for this one. And I'm working on my main game. It's a Tomb of the Mask style game in Godot 4.5. I can add my tag. You can add your tag by clicking over here. You can add your tag, you can create a new tag. You can remove your project, or if some project is broken because you delete the folder but you still have it over here, you just click remove missing. You can duplicate the project, and you can do many things with this menu. We're gonna create a new project right now. So let's see, first tutorial. We're gonna check folder, documents, we're gonna create a new folder, write first tutorial, select the current folder. It's basic for every other software. We have 3 renderer. Every renderer is different. You can choose one and then change the settings in the project itself, but I'm gonna explain what these renderer are. So the first one is a forward plus, is for a project that use advanced 3D graphics. So maybe you want to make a Steam game or Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation game. So you're gonna use maybe a forward plus because it's for high-end game. There is the mobile one. It's just less advanced with the graphic. It still supports the desktop one, but it's more supported by the mobile platforms. Some old phones, and the compatibility one is a very low end and use the OpenGL 3. I'm not gonna explain this one what is that, but basically you can use it to use on your web browser, and it supports all the previous one plus the web platform. You don't expect to have like amazing graphic with this one. So we can use our version control metadata with git or none if you don't want to use any. We're gonna add git even if we don't want to. Maybe you want to use it, or in the future we're gonna use it. We create a folder and we edit now, so when we create automatically it will open. So let's see. When you open your windows, you're gonna have this one is the main window. It's a pretty minimalistic window. We have our scene tab over here and our import tab. We're gonna explain what these things are. This is our viewport where we're gonna see everything, and this button above control our viewport. So imagine this rectangle over here is controlled by this one. And now we're having a 3D viewing. You can rotate your mouse and check around. Music and pen tablet right now. I don't know how with the mouse is, but I think it's left click you go around. If you hold control and left click it zoom. If you hold shift and left click you pan, and you can, oops, this is my right button, I don't know, oh no, this is my middle button, I don't know, if something like that happen, it's, don't worry, don't get panic, we can adjust by these handles over here. So these handles over here are telling us where we're looking at. So if I click like -Z, I'm gonna see in the -Z axis, this axis blue is -Z, and X is our X. So we have left and right and forward, backward. In Godot, forward is -Z. So when we want to move forward, we go -Z. Every software, every engine, every 3D software use a different convention. Now, it's based on maths. I'm not gonna spend time on it because it's a very simple tutorial, this one. But just bear in mind that maybe you import a model from Maya or Blender and you're gonna see that it's rotate or like flipped. Don't worry, we're gonna fix this one. So if I click, for example, my y-axis, my positive y, we're gonna see the top view. So over here we're gonna see already top view, top orthogonal. You have orthogonal and perspective. You can also click over here and check, okay, I want to see my top view. So top orthogonal, we're gonna see y. If I click C, we see the front one. If I click -Z, I see the rear one, so we are in the back. And left view, -X, and right view, X. If I move always with my left mouse, I go back to perspective automatically. So all this information are related to how to visualize stuff over here. We're not gonna look at it. Maybe this orthogonal is gonna show you like your orthogonal view where all the axes are the same length. You can see the angle is changing, but we're gonna have an orthogonal view. If I click perspective again, let's see our perspective. This one are how we're gonna see our 3D object and many other things that we're not gonna cover in this lesson because it's too advanced right now. So on our view in the 3D, we have these buttons. This one is the transform. You can see if I hover over Q physical, control and drag, Alt plus right mouse button. We have our translate, let's move, our rotation, our scale, and our selection one. So this one is in case you have many objects. You click on this one and show a list of selected objects that you have over there. This one is to lock something over here. Don't worry about this button, we're gonna see it maybe in another tutorial. So once we're gonna see the 3D, we're not gonna cover 3D in these lessons, probably not even in the other one, in the future probably. We're gonna see our 2D. We're gonna work with this one main. So our 2D works only in 2D space, obviously, and we have our X and Y axis. We don't have anymore this gizmo to check because we don't really need to move in any other dimension besides up, down, left, right. So in our 2D, this one is the resolution of our screen. So right now is a resolution. We're gonna check later how it is, but we're gonna work on this one. We have still our three main button is the move, the rotation, the scale, the selection. We have the pan mode, move around. We have the ruler mode. It's gonna tell you like angle and stuff if you want to do some trigonometry things. We have the local space, and if I disable this one, it's gonna work in global space. We're gonna cover this one later as well. Snap, the grid snap, selection of snaps. So we're gonna see use grid snaps, for example. It's gonna activate the snap. If I move around, you see I can snap on this one. Let me zoom in maybe. Control left click. If I now add maybe this one, no, I can really go around again. So snaps. Then we have this one are for this scene. This one is for bones. If we're gonna use any bones, we're not gonna use any bones today. We're gonna cover maybe. And this one is related to what we're gonna view over here. Is basically this button over here, kind of. So we have our view. It's gonna show you, for example, okay, I want to see the rulers or the guides. The guides is if I move and I have guides over here, the origin, the viewport itself. But this one, I don't know. We're not really gonna use. Maybe just the grid things. Like you can show the grid or you can hide the grid. Then the third one is the script. This one is where we're gonna write our scripts to make everything works, because we have objects in Godot are called nodes. So remember these things, nodes. We have nodes that we're gonna move or we're gonna change by scripts. The proprietary language of Godot is GDScript. It's very similar to Python. It's not Python, it's very similar to Python. So if you know already Python, you have already the base. If you don't know Python, it's pretty simple. We're gonna go together and we're gonna see. Then we have our game window. This one is on from the version 4.3, I think. I don't really remember. 4.2. You can basically play in this window. Before it was creating another instance of a window and you were having to touch it. Now you can play like that. I think it's getting closer to Unity if you have like any idea of Unity. We're gonna see these things, don't worry about it. And this is the asset lib, is the one that we saw before. So there are a lot of things you can check in your godotengine.org. So the one that we really care about it is this one, the scene one, the file system, history. I never use history, to be honest, in my life, because when I do something I just go Ctrl Z. And our inspector, signals and group. These one are the main tab and the only tab right now that we're gonna use. So we choose compatibility before. We can still change, as I said before. We're gonna put forward plus for this one. We need to save and restart. We can leave it to compatibility. It's not a problem because we're gonna just going around and see what's going on. So if you're new, it's very frustrating. I guess. If you have experience with Unity, so a node is basically like what was in Unity, a component. So it's like a box that can keep every other's boxes inside. So imagine like a matryoshka. You have something that can hold any other things that can, and that this thing can hold inside many other things and so on. So we're working in 2D. We don't need any 3D scene because we're just working in 2D. So I usually use as a main node because we need the root node to the scene. If I click on to the scene, I'm gonna have this node. Automatically in the inspector is gonna telling me everything related to this node. So there is a thing called in scripting that it's called inheritance. You inherit from other stuff. Same happen with nodes. I have my node 2D that inherit from canvas item and inherit from node. So basically it has everything that is inside node and everything that is inside node 2D and everything that is inside node. So everything that inherit from node is gonna have that canvas item is gonna have node itself. So for example, if I want to add a new node, I just click this plus button and I have my node 2D. So as you can see, the root one is a node. Everything inherit from a node. If you see over here, you can see the inheritance. The class node, that is basically our object, is inherit from a class object. If I click object, it's gonna open my documentation. My documentation is gonna explain a lot of things about this things works. It's overwhelming. I know, first time that I started to learn languages, it's totally crazy. Don't worry about it. So our class object, you can see what is inherited by our object. And if we look around, probably we're gonna find our node 2D. Our node actually, sorry. Native node over here, yeah. Here we're gonna find that the class object is inherited by the node. So let's go back to our node. We want to add a new node. Our node, our canvas item, our node 2D, and if I open with this arrow, I'm gonna find more nodes. We're gonna cover this one as well later. So what do you think what happen if I will click on, for example, sprite 2D? What will happen over here? So if I add a new sprite 2D in my node, my sprite 2D is gonna have the sprite 2D properties plus the node 2D properties, the canvas item node properties, and the node properties, because It's inheriting by node to D, that it itself is inheriting from canvas item, that is inheriting from node. This one is very useful to know because, for example, it happens when I was studying and I was exploring more that, for example, I want to move and the node to D has this transform node, and by mistake, so I'm adding a new node. You can either click this or Control A. Control A is gonna open my create new node. That I was adding. It was happening that I was adding just a node. So my node doesn't have any transformation. So when I wanted to move everything, maybe I was adding a let's say, I don't know, a camera. Okay, I was moving this node, but this move doesn't have any transform. So I was getting crazy because, like, why it's not moving? Because the node doesn't have the properties to move. I had to change this node to a node to D. Now you can either delete all the stuff that you have over here, or if you right click, you have this change type. This one as well, they added probably in the 4.2. I remember in the 3 wasn't there. In 3.5 I think it wasn't there. So if you change type, you can choose which type you want, and now we can change, okay, I want another node to D. So node to D is the very basic node for every 2D node. Maybe you want to change the name as well, just to remember. So we have a node to D, or I don't know, since we have a camera to D, we can add camera controller, for example, just to remind us that it's a camera controller. These things will control camera. When we work with nodes, there are many ways to work, but one thing that I really love is that Godot have these things called composition. You can compose something. So let's leave this one, for example. This one is our main scene. We're gonna add something that we hold our character. So let's say we're gonna add a node to D, and this one is our character. If you click F2, you can modify the text, or right click and rename F2 character holder, and you can add everything that this character needs. So we maybe need some texture. We have sprite to D. Maybe this texture need to be animated. We have a node called animation player. Now don't worry about it, we're still like new, we're gonna explore these things later. And maybe the character, you need a character body to D. Or one thing that I like to do is, instead of having a character holder, depends on the project obviously, you can straight out having a character body to D that will hold everything. So we're gonna delete this one. Now our character body to D, compared to the other one, has this warning sign. What is this warning sign? If you click over here, it's gonna tell you, wait, there is a problem over here. We're missing, this node has no shape, it cannot collide or interact with other objects. So it's gonna give you the warning, it's gonna tell you something that is gonna happen if you don't do something else. It will tell you to add a collision shape to D or a collision polygon to D as a child. So this one is our parent, everything below is a child. So it asks us to put a collision shape in order to work. These things is everything from a collision object, from a node to D, canvas side, and still our main node. Everything inherit from node basically. So again, it's a collision shape to D. We're gonna add a collision shape to D. And collision shape to D again is telling you, hey, something is happening. So if you over or click again, let's go with over, it's gonna tell you like a shape must be provided. We need a shape, otherwise this node is not gonna work. In order to add shape, we have here our shape. So if you don't know, please create a shape resource for it. A resource is everything that is handled on this window. This is a resource. If I try to check for a source, no, it's not gonna tell me over here. We're gonna see it later. A resource is something that you can add. This one is gonna be a resource. This one is a resource. These things can be resource. So a resource can be a property of a property. So right now it's asking us for a shape resource. If I click over here, I can quick load if we have any. We have other button. This one is just preview or searching or add-ons if you want to look inside add-ons. But we're gonna just click on empty. It's gonna tell you like, oh, you can create a new resource because Godot already has integrated things. So right now we're gonna add, for example, a capsule shape 2D is the main one that you're gonna use for a character most of the time. And this resource is gonna create it, and we're gonna see these things over here. So if I change this one, nothing is happening anywhere. No, but moving with this. Moving is happening because it's a collision shape. So if we move, we're gonna move the transform. But if I change this one, nothing is changing. Where are these properties? So if I open this one, just clicking, I see our resource properties. So let's imagine resources like a container of information for our node to work. So this resource capsule shape 2D, I keep saying resource because we're gonna see later how we can create our custom resource. So our resource capsule shapes contain this radius, this 8, oh, we're not gonna see it, yeah, this 8, and another thing called custom solver bias. If you don't know what a custom solver bias is, we just over, we wait, and it's gonna tell us like the shape's custom solver bias defines how much bodies react to enforce contact separation when the shape is involved. What does it mean? We're gonna see it. It's basically how this body, this shape, react to separate from other shape. If I have other, maybe an enemy collision shape or a wall collision shape, and now we can leave it to 0. Oh, by the way, when we modify something, beside having this something is change, so I can move it, something is change over here. You open it, this one disappear. If you have this button, as you can revert to the original. So this one is the original position, this one is the original custom solver bias, original 8, original radius. I hope it's clear. So this one is what's happening. So we're gonna do this composition. We're basically composing our character order with other things. And for example, I can create something. Maybe this character wants to have a health or mana or anything, inventory. We can add with Ctrl A a new node. We add a node. We can add this one can be just a simple node or a node 2D, doesn't matter. I'm gonna add a node right now because we will want to transform. This node can be our health component. So this one is gonna manage the health of our character. Now, Godot doesn't have automatically a health component, otherwise it's gonna be beautiful. We need to create our custom health component by scripting. We're gonna see scripting later. In another lessons, we're gonna see how to cover this health component. So this is mostly what we want to cover on the scene tab. There are this button. So if you over, you can instantiate it. Instantiation is basically I click over here, and right now we don't have anything saved, but you can, maybe you save a node or a node that has other stuff, and you want to instantiate it inside these things, or you can do it by scripting. So I'm gonna show you in a few moments. We have a filter nodes. You can filter, so I can write character, or I can filter sprite. I think no, it's not gonna work. Sprite today. I'm wondering if it works if I do like that. Sprite. No, it's not working. Okay. Then we have this button to create a script. So if I click on this button, it will attach or create a new script. Click over here. This tab is opening, this window, and it say, okay, you want to attach a node to the script. We are creating it. And which language do you want to use? Right now we have only GDScript because we didn't download the .NET version. And what is inheriting from? Automatically this one will take the node that we are attaching the script to. So we're attaching a script to Sprite2D, it's gonna inherit from it. But maybe you don't want to inherit from Sprite2D. Maybe you wanted these things only transform, for example. You don't need anything else. So you want to inherit from a node2D. Usually it's weird. I never change these things. I change by typing. We're gonna see it later, but it's always good to know. So we revert it back. You can also choose maybe from a folder if you have custom one, and it's gonna ask you a template. It has template. The node one is gonna be a default Godot cycle methods. We're gonna see later. And the object is gonna be an empty template. You're gonna just click on this one right now. A built-in script. It's can be edited by external editor. It's basically built inside the scene file. This one. I never use it as well. But basically it's not gonna save it. You just give a name and it's gonna create everything automatically. We leave it like that and we create our custom one, and let's say we want to put a name, sprite to the it has a built-in, so sprite controller maybe, and that GD is the extension of our script, is GD script. So we create one. So automatically I have created one of that. We're gonna see it also as well later. We're just exploring the interface. We have now, after this one, we have oh, I forgot, sorry. There is one thing. I told you before that you can add a node from somewhere else, maybe it's a node that you save. So as a composition, obviously we don't want to create maybe our game with everything inside. It's gonna be like a mess of nodes over here because maybe you have a lot of levels and different players. You can just, for example, take your character, this one, and move it in your file system, and you can save it. It asks you to save the scene because every node can be a scene, and it asks you to save it. We have these things implemented from 4.4, I think. I don't really remember. You can reset position, rotation, scale. Very important because usually when you create a plain one, a simple one, you want that everything is locked to the center, so you're not gonna have any offset when you work with that. So we're gonna save the character order. We're gonna have it over here. Now, as you see, something changed. Our node is now, everything disappears. One node. Well, it's gonna be deleted No, we have a new button over here and it's open in editor. If I click on this one, a new tab on our 2D window is gonna be open. And this is our component. This is our new node, our new scene that hold everything. So every times I modify this one and I save it, it's gonna affect this one. It's beautiful and scary in the same time. So I save it and here we are again, modify. So it's very useful because sometimes you want to call this node, you want to create instantiated. Now we have our instantiation over here, we can instantiate. You want to instantiate through code and you want to change parameter. Let's say you want to create, you have a main order for your enemy, but you want to that every enemy maybe has a different health. So when you create a new node, you can modify the health component to say, okay, this one is 20 HP, the other one is 40 HP, and so on. This one is gonna explain beer. It's gonna be easier when we're gonna see it in depth. So the file system is just a normal file system that Windows use. You have your favorite one. If you want to add to favorite, you right click and you add to favorite. It's gonna appear over here. This one is the icon they automatically give you, and you have your resource. This is the main folder where your project is saved. So if you want to see where this one is saved, we go to project and we can go to what's it, project. Oh no, sorry, it's here. You right click on your resource and you can open in file manager. A new Windows is opening. Oh, it's my other window. Yeah, new Windows is opening and you have your path with all your things saved. So this is the first tutorial project with your first tutorial folder, that is your resource and everything. Now a lot of things you can't see it because the editor doesn't read all the files. For example, the dot one, the project Godot, that is everything over here, the import one, but you can see that your scene is over here. So this is your scene file, this is your script file. It's pretty simple. You can just, as usual, create a new one. You can create a folder, a new scene, new script, a text file, copy path, copy absolute path. So when you copy path, it's gonna give you, let's see, how can I show here? Cool. Your path where the file is inside the project. If I copy the copy absolute path, it's gonna give you your path in your window. There are many other things. This one we're not gonna touch. This one we're not really gonna touch. It's the same as this one, beside of set as a main scene. Create new, copy, duplicate. UID is the unique ID. Every resource, every file has a unique ID that is generated, and say, okay, this one is this ID and is a unique. And then we have this one that we already saw. So usually when you organize your project, you want that have your new folder when you create, for example, okay, I want all the scenes. So my scenes are gonna be here, for example, and then I want everything that is scripts related over here. I usually keep art folder where I keep all my art. Then I have an audio folder where I keep all my audio. let's see, I have resources. I'm gonna see it later. I keep all my resources. And obviously inside of this one you can split in subfolder. For example, I like to have a folder called core where there are all the main things, and a folder called, for example, character, where I have character things, or modules, or component. Very important. Component can be shared. So if I have a health component over here, create new script, health component.gd. This component can be shared by more nodes. So can be shared by the character, by the enemy, by a box that you want to destroy. And this is the sorting things, and this one is to split it. So if I click on this one, it's gonna split. Now maybe you want to work, you have two monitors. You can right click over here and you can make it floating, and you can modify. If I close it, it's gonna get back there. This is beautiful. You can split it, or you can move it in the middle one. But I like to work most of the time with the classic one. Where is this thing? Yeah. So, how long is it? 40 minutes already. Okay. We have the bottom menu here, the bottom window, where we have our output. This is everything that is gonna happen. Sometimes debug, something that you did. So I create a node or rename a node. And also we can print it over here. We can print stuff in coding, maybe for debug purpose, or to check stuff. And you can filter. You can filter by output, standard one. So if I disable all this, this is a standard output. Is the main one that is gonna be here when you open. You can, when we print it, we're gonna see. And then you can filter by error, by warning, and by this one was the editor messages. Then we have our debugger. This one has a lot of things. This one is to check how your game, how your project is running when you run the project. Don't worry about this one right now. We're gonna make a simple project. We're not gonna see this one. Your audio. This is how the audio works. You have some channel. You have a lot of things. You can add effects. This one is more advanced as well. I don't know if we're gonna cover, maybe later as well. Then we have our animation. This one is very important. So if I open my character, where is character? Oh, yeah, character. I have my animation. I need to, if you see over here, select an animation player node, because it wants to know like which animation I need to handle over here. This one handle every kind of animation. So if I create this one, it's gonna create this animation player. We're gonna see it later. We're gonna modify the animation. We can tell what's happening. Then we have a shader editor. Shader, if you don't know, is something that works on GPU, on a graphic process unit. You can modify your 2D image, your sprites, your textures with coding. So I can create a new shader. It's the same as creating a new script. You create it, and this is a new window. This is another languages, shading languages, the extension GD shader. We're not gonna cover it because I'm not really an expert of GD shader. There are people working with this one all the time. Maybe we can cover a little bit the basic. This one is the same. You can expand, you can contract, you can pin it. This is the version. If there is new version as well, you can make it floating, you can close it, you can move it left, right. It's very handy. And then we have our on the right one, we have our inspector. As we saw before, everything I click is gonna open it over here. You're modifying your node. We covered this one already. So one thing that I want to show you is you don't maybe remember something about it. So this one is a character node deep. Like, oh, I don't remember how is a method or some property of this one. You have these things over here with the doc and the lens. If you click on it, you open the documentation. It's going to open a new window. It's going to explain you everything that is inside. If you're new to code, don't worry, we're going to cover this one in the coding session. But I just want you to know that you can just click this one and it's gonna be open. You can explore what is doing this node. It's gonna tell you description. It's a specialized class for physics body, so it gives you also some tutorial. It's very well done. I work with Unity, I work with Unreal, and it's get very messy. I really love how Godot documentation is simple and straightforward. You can also open the online documentation, or you can search for help inside to check any other class. Let's see, something that we saw already. Let's click Node 2D. So I click this one, documentation open. So you can click close, Control W, or I think middle click as well. Yeah, middle click as well. You can close it. This one, make it floating as usual. Once we have this one, we have signals. Signals are very important. It's a way to communicate without doing much mess between a component and the other one. So maybe you're doing something and you're getting a damage, and you want to say to your character that you're taking damage and you want to subtract damage from your health. So I'm 100, but I need to subtract 20 HP now because I took damage. This is where signals are gonna work it out. They're gonna tell you like, oh, something is happening, and let's say we have a custom signal, say like, oh, I took damage. So the signal will trigger, and everything that is registered to know what's happening will get an alert from the signal saying like, oh, it's taking damage, we need to do something. So maybe your health component is subtracting the health, your UI is telling you like you're not 100 HP anymore, you're 80, and your sprite is flashing and your character is bouncing back. So signals are very important because when it's like an event. When something happens, everyone that is registered is gonna be alarmed and is gonna know what's going on. And then the last things for this tab is the group. You have group. Group is a way to handle like more objects together. So maybe you have a group object, you have a group enemy, you have many different enemies. So I have a flying enemy, a land enemy, a sea enemy, a boss, and they are in a global groups related to global, and the group is called enemy. So your player cast an AOE and they say like, okay, I'm eating all the enemy that are in this range. So all the enemy in this group are gonna get art, or maybe it can target only enemy in the that are flying or that are landing because it's a landing AOE. So it's gonna, this one is gonna be helpful. I'm not really into groups, but we're gonna explore this one. You can create new groups, simple, your name, your description, global, or and that's it. You can create it and you have in your global. It's another way to communicate between nodes, because the main problems is how everything is gonna communicate between each other. This is the main difficult things that I found in coding when I started to explore coding. And I want to keep the last things on these buttons over here. And this one is to run your project. So when you run your project, let's say the scene, control as you say, dependency, okay, don't worry about it. If I run my project, it's gonna tell you, okay, you want to run your project, but which one is the main window? So you can select any one of your scene, or you can obviously cancel, or you say, I want that this one is the main one. So if I have my character order, I want to run this scene as a main one. Click here, select current, and my game is starting. Right now I'm not seeing anything, but we're gonna see things later. While it's running, you can pause or stop. This one is if you want to do it on the streaming on another device. I usually use it on Android with my game. This one is to run the current scene. So we want to test the character, for example, or we have a test scene without changing all the time which scene is the main one on your project window. You're just like, I want to run this. Okay, I have problem with dependencies because I made a mess. We're gonna run this window. And this one is gonna tell you which one you want to run. So if we have a lot of scenes over there, you can check and select your window that you want to run, your scene that you want to run. This one is for the cinematic, enable movie maker mode. I never use it because I never did movie maker. Maybe we're gonna explore it together, and I'm gonna be a noob as well about it. Now let's focus on the last things for maybe this tutorial. Beside of this button, I'm gonna explain. They're pretty straightforward. We're gonna see our project settings later on, and how to modify our editor as well later on. Help, it's just help button. So when I run my game, I have this new window that also it can be over here. It's not gonna tell you because right now we need to set up. We can set it up in manipulate from editors if I remember. Let's see. Game. I think was the yes. Make game workplace. Let's see. Yeah, we're running on this window. We have the same button, but we're gonna maybe select again to make it floating so we can see better. So this is our main window of running the game. You have the project name, the debug window. You have the input processing, or you can have the 2D to check, or 3D if you're working in 3D. The speed as which one you want to run the game. Maybe you want to see if some effects is working properly, so you can choose the speed. The pause and the next frame button. So if I have a frame, something happening, I click, I'm moving frame by frame to see what's happening. Maybe you have some collision or something is not working properly and you want to analyze in details. Restarting the scene, and this one is the same as before, selecting scenes, audio on, audio off, your overriding game camera, we're gonna see it, your resolution. But the interesting things is I have this window over here. When I run my game, I have a new button over here. So local is what we're seeing in our project when we're building. Remote is what we're seeing in our project when we're running. So in remote, I'm seeing I have my root that you cannot see because it creates an instance with the root that has these things. So maybe you're moving some nodes around, or you're deleting nodes, or you're spawning projectiles, and you want to see if these projectiles are over there, if they're deleting properly or hitting enemy. This window is gonna appear here, and it's gonna tell you everything that is happening during the running time. And if I click on these ones and I go in my inspector, I'm gonna have a lot of info as well. So you're gonna see what's happening over here. Maybe if you have a custom resource, you're gonna have like the health. Right now we don't have, but it's gonna have the health. I guess you're like, oh yeah, I took damage. My health is 50 now. And this is very important. I mean, if you're gonna debug your game, you're gonna use it a lot. I think for this tutorial right now is more important. You have a glimpse on what is going on with the main windows. It can be very overwhelming, but we're gonna explore in details more things in the next tutorial. I think I'm gonna cover the script section and we're gonna see what's happening. The script section or the node section. If you have any suggestions, just like write the comments and I'll try to make a new tutorial based on your suggestion. Thank you for following. If you like the video, just hit like. I don't really know how YouTube works. I found myself bored and I wanted to record new things for new people. So I think like you need to follow or something like that. And see you next time.